In this episode of Mind Pump, the world's top fitness, health, and entertainment podcast, we talk about a very, very important component for your health, for fat loss, and muscle building. We talk all about sleep and the strategies that you can take to improve your sleep so that you can burn more body fat and build more muscle. We actually give you 6 ways you can do this. Now, while we're talking about these, we do mention blue light blocking glasses, and people message us all the time when we talk about those, and people ask, where's the best place to get these blue light blocking glasses? Well, our favorite company is Felix Gray. They make glasses that don't change the color of the whole room, and they do block a majority of the blue light that comes out of electronics that can affect your sleep. Now, here's the place you go to get the Mind Pump hookup. Go to felixgrayglasses.com/Mind Pump. It's Felix Gray, that's FELIXGRAY, glasses.com/Mind Pump. Now, before the episode gets started, MAPS Strong is 50% off. Now, MAPS Strong is a great muscle-building, fat-burning workout program inspired by strongman workouts. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means you're going to do traditional exercises and some non-traditional exercises. It's a fun workout. It does place a stronger emphasis on the posterior chain. That's the back, the butt, and the hamstrings. So if those are areas you really want to develop and work on, you'll love this program. Now, to get the 50% off, here's what you got to do. Go to mapsstrong.com. That's MAPSSTRONG.com, and use the code STRONG50. That's STRONG50, no space, for that discount. One of the last things that I figured out when it comes to building muscle, burning body fat, improving performance, the very, very last thing that I pieced together is sad because it's also happens to be, after I pieced it together and really figured out, one of the most important, impactful, powerful things.
And my favorite thing to do. 100%.
What are we talking about here?
Sleep.
Sleep. Wow.
How long?
Wasn't sure where we were going with that.
How long? Let me ask you guys a question. You guys have been trainers as long as I have. We've been doing this for a long time. How long did it take you guys to figure that out for yourselves?
Oh, it took a really long time. I think I was running under that same kind of mentality. Like, I don't need that much sleep because I was just trying so hard to be productive and to be always working on my body and improving. And I didn't really account for the fact that sleep, I mean, that's the piece that actually starts to rebuild you and repair all of, the breaking down that you're doing by lifting weights and doing all this extra activity and all that stuff. It took me a long time to figure that out.
Do you think it was a lack of knowledge or understanding or attention towards it, or do you simply just think it's something that you have to kind of go through in your youth and then you don't realize it until like age?
You don't value it yet.
Yeah, until father time slaps you in the face and then you're forced to recognize it. Because that's kind of how I want to believe that, I was a trainer for 10 plus years at this time, and I read enough research around it and, began to apply it. And then, it all came together for me. But I think the truth is what ended up happening was just as I started to get older, I started to realize I couldn't have those nights that I used to be able to have when I was 22. Like when I was 22, I could rage all night with my buddies on Friday night till 2, 3 in the morning, and we'd be crushing legs at 10 a.m. on Saturday.
Well,
talking shit to
He's
each
so
other.
awful now.
That's a big part of the problem. A big part of the problem is humans are pretty good at getting by with little sleep. So it's not like you get poor sleep and then you just can't function. Mm-hmm. We're pretty good at getting poor sleep and then still being able to drink some coffee or take an energy drink and function and work and, do the things that you need to do. We're still pretty good at that. And the problem with that is you don't quite, and especially if you do it all the time, like I did. I always did that. I didn't sleep more than 5 hours.
So do you think it's
for
more
years.
that? Do you think it's more that you were just adapted to that lifestyle and accustomed to running on minimal sleep and high stress, and it just you never recognize what great sleep and taking care of yourself? Do you think it's more of that, or do you think it's just we've aged and that has now become even more important?
I think
we fall into those patterns, I think.
I think it's always important. In fact, it's in some ways more important for young people whose brains are still continuing to develop, Teenage girls, for example, require the most amount of sleep for optimal health, more than old people do. I think it's literally you get by, and in spite of the fact that you get poor sleep, you still think you're doing okay. And I know this for a fact because one of the big things about being a trainer, one of the big the fallbacks or issues, I think, is that we are much better with our clients than we tend to be with ourselves. And I would see it have a tremendous impact on my clients. But the science supports it as well. You know, they did this one study where they took, these were young people. None of them were old. They took young people and they had them all go on a diet, and one group had 6 hours of sleep, the other group had 8 hours of sleep. That's it, 2 hours. It wasn't like 3 hours of sleep versus 8 hours of sleep. It was 6 hours. I used to get 6 hours all the time. They put them on a diet. You know what they found? They found that the group that got the poor sleep lost twice as much muscle and half as much fat as the other group. They both lost the same amount of weight.
Twice as much?
Twice as much muscle.
Wow.
Now
was there? I don't remember this study. Was there a wide range of the age group, or was it all the same age group? Do you know? Do you remember? Because I'm really curious to the question that I keep presenting, which is, was it that it was in spite of just not paying attention or knowing that it was really affecting me that bad? Or is it really that as you start to age, you really feel the difference and the impact, and then that's when I piece it together?
I think as you get older, you probably can't get away with as much in terms of pushing your body, but I think it's just in spite of.
Because I would love to be able to rage with you guys tonight and get up first thing tomorrow morning and just
now we're talking
and just crush work like it was no big deal. But I'm pretty sure I can't.
Think about it this way. Think about it this way. When you were younger and you would not get any good sleep, oftentimes you had a day where you could sleep.
Yeah.
You know, when you went real hard, Saturday, that's fine.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
I do recall
you didn't have the responsibilities.
I do recall a lot of
kids
Sundays laying around and like sleeping until
you can't do that when you're a dad, right?
The worst you have is like, Mom, let me sleep till 12. Leave me alone. Like you just have to yell back.
Yeah. Now, as a dad, it's like you go to bed late and you're like, oh man, I still have to wake up tomorrow early. The baby's gonna be up, or my wife's going to be pissed off. I'm trying to sleep.
You got shit to do.
Exactly. So I think that's part of it. Yes, you get away with more, but the studies are very, very clear. I remember this with clients. And I saw it with clients, but I never applied it to myself, even though I read all the books that said, you want to build muscle, you got to get good sleep. All the experts said it. All the old-time bodybuilders said it. All the old-time strongmen said it. There wasn't anybody that said that sleep was not important. Everybody said it was super important. I had this one guy that I trained. I'll never forget this. I had this one guy that I trained, high achiever, very successful. He hired me. I trained him. His goal was to build muscle. He was like the classic skinny fat guy, body not really responsive. And we were getting some results. We were getting some progress. His doctor recommended that he really work on his sleep because he was starting to develop these like anxiety type issues. And, he's a high achieving kind of person, and he got it in his head that this is something he should tackle. And he did. He said, that's it. I'm going to make this a priority. And I remember him talking to me about this. He's like, look, every night when my wife falls asleep, I watch TV till whatever, or I read or whatever. I never get good sleep. I drink lots of coffee. He goes, I'm going to take this very seriously. And he was one of those people that, like I said, he's very focused. And when he decides to do something, he's very successful at it. And I'll never forget him doing that and watching his gains as I was training him. And I remember asking him, are you eating differently? Mm-hmm. Are you taking a supplement? He's like, dude, all I'm doing right now is prioritizing my sleep. And literally his strength gains, it was almost like he went from natural to steroids. I'm not exaggerating. It was like he went from hard, it was hard to get him to get a little stronger, to we were jumping strength all the time. And it was incredible. I remember that because it stuck out so much to me. Then later on, I had this experience with other clients. Once I started to kind of piece it together for my clients before I ever applied it to myself, this was one of the first things I would do. I would get a new client who, we're talking about fat loss or whatever, and I would convince them to prioritize sleep. And once they did that, they would always get, they would notice a significant impact. Now, the key is to be consistent with it and do it for like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. But then they all started noticing. Did not apply it to myself until, no joke, until we started the Mind Pump podcast. That's when I started. And the reason why I applied it to myself was because I really it was selfish. I really wanted to be sharp on the podcast or when we were doing interviews. I wanted to be really, really sharp. And I started noticing that when I got really good sleep and I was eating healthy, that I was way better in my interviews and being sharp. And I remember thinking to myself, because I could get away with just having conversations with people, lack of sleep, that's not an issue. But I'm on camera, I'm on podcast. So I started to prioritize it. I especially started prioritizing it before our live events because I really wanted to be good. It was I could tell a clear distinction between my performance on the podcast before and after. And then I started to notice a difference in my body, just in my strength and my inflammation and just general how it felt. And then it was like, okay, it all sunk in. I was like, this is just as important as diet and exercise.
Yeah, I think for me it was when I realized how many stimulants I needed to keep drinking and ingesting even before my workouts, just to get into that mindset and that frame of mind where I'm like, oh, I can go ahead and like be productive right now and lift weights and get summon the type of force that I need for this workout. And it was at a point where it just kept ramping up. And I just realized I'm not getting, the type of sleep that I need. My body is just fighting itself before I even get to the workout part of it that I'm going to get the most benefit from. And so it was really just kind of like taking that in and realize, okay, I need to kind of back off and then start to look a little bit more at being consistent in my times where I'm like, okay, this is my specific time I'm going to bed, and I'm going to try and stick with this as much as possible. And that really, that was a huge benefit to me.
Sal, are you still looking up that study?
No, I'm not looking up that specific study, but I did find another one.
Because
really interesting.
Because to me, that's just mind blowing. We just went right over that. Double the muscle it loss.
I know.
In the same period of time, just over 2 hours of sleep is crazy.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what some of the controls were on that, because there's other parts that I would question. There's other things that tend, with my experience in finding clients that lack in sleep, right, getting enough sleep. There's also other common factors. Like we talk about studies, like remember when they did the coffee cigarette study, right?
I found it average age was about 35.
Okay, so average age 35.
Average age 35. So
all they did was just you get to get 4 hours sleep, you get to get 6 hours.
Well,
of sleep.
here when they cut back on their sleep, only 1/4 of their weight loss came from fat. Sleep deprived dieters also felt hungrier, producing higher levels of ghrelin, a hormone that triggers hunger and reduces energy expenditure.
I tell you what, we didn't touch on that, and that is something that
for sure. Yeah.
I have for sure pieced that together, and it took me also a long time to put that together. But I would start to pay attention to, it's inevitable. No matter if you prioritize sleep, shit happens, right? Shit happens. People have babies, and you have long work days, or you have a stressful thing, or the emergency happens. So I started paying more attention to like, what did the rest of my day look like? And it was like clockwork. Anytime that I had a really sleep deprived night, I had these crazy cravings for junk food.
Sweets, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was, if I wanted ice cream or candy or fast food or something like that, it would be always after a night of really, really bad sleep. So I thought that was really interesting. But my point, though, or what I'm alluding to here with this group and wondering what all the controls are, is I know that a client that hired me that also struggled really bad with sleep also tend to be my type A high stress job or high stress relationship, also, pounding the energy drinks, like. There's other things that I think also probably make that statistic so bad, because that to me is crazy, right? To lose that much muscle over 2 hours of sleep difference is
a massive difference.
Well, here's another one. There's a lot of studies that support this, right? Another one was on muscle mass, and researchers discovered that the individuals who slept 5.5 hours a night, so they compared 5.5 hours to 8.5 hours. Okay, so a 3-hour difference. The 5.5 hour sleepers had 60% less muscle mass at the end of the study. Those who slept 8.5 hours, you ready for this, had 40% more muscle mass. Wow. So huge difference. Yeah. And you got to understand something, that lack of sleep is sending a loud stress signal to the body. It's telling the body things are not good. We need to slow down metabolism, store energy. We need to ramp up appetite so that you get more energy. We cannot put on lots of muscle because muscle is energy expensive. It burns a lot. And hey, here's the thing. For most of human history, if you were really, really stressed, it was either something acute, you're about to get killed, or if it was chronic, you weren't finding food. So your body's turning into this, okay, conserve energy, ramp up appetite, don't build lots of energy expensive tissue like muscle. So people don't realize this, but sleep, if you're trying to build muscle and burn body fat and you're getting poor sleep, you're probably going to progress at 50% of your potential. I'm not exaggerating.
Well, this is why it makes sense when we talk about, like, if you're getting ready you're training a program and this is another case. Okay, here's another case for why a 3-day or 4-day a week type of full body routine is superior to a body part split. Say you're running a body part split, which takes you at least 5 to 6 days a week to complete, and Tuesday just things didn't align, and you were up till 1 a.m. and had to get back up at 6 because it just shit happened, right? And then you also have a scheduled chest day, on that day, and you go in and you hammer your chest in your workout. Not the most ideal time. In fact, if I was running a 3-day a week full body type of routine, I would probably take that day off of lifting and I would do something more mobility focused or meditative or something that is working inward versus hammering my body with more stress when I'm already sending a signal to it that it's stressed out because it's not getting good sleep.
Absolutely. You can't. Remember, exercise is a stress, and in your body, all stress accumulates. Right? It all accumulates in the body, and if there's too much of it, then there's too much of it, and your body just won't adapt. It won't progress. It kind of goes on the defense. And if you want your workouts to get your body to respond in the way that you want it to, you can't do it with a little bit of stress reserves left over. Otherwise, the workout then tips you over and then you're screwed.
Yeah.
Sleep does that. Poor sleep does that. And in studies show that it's not, doesn't have to be like, oh, I only got 3 hours of sleep last night. It's literally, they compare 1 or 2 hours less of sleep every night, which I know people do chronically. I did that chronically.
Totally.
I was 6 hours of sleep.
And you never fully recover.
Yeah, chronically, that's what I did. 5-6 hours every single night, and I could get by for sure. And that's the problem. People can get by, but they don't realize the profound impact it has on health and performance. With men, just 1 night of poor sleep lowers testosterone. Poor sleep consistently is one of the number one reasons why testosterone levels will be low. In fact, one of the ways you could raise testosterone easily, the one step you can do is to get good quality, consistent sleep. Too little sleep raises inflammation dramatically. And look, we've all experienced this. You get a bad night's sleep, just one, you're stiff and achy the next day. That's higher levels of inflammation. It negatively impacts the immune system. I think we've all experienced this. I know for me, if I'm fighting something off, if I feel like I'm getting sick, and then I get poor sleep, I'm getting full-blown
you're
sick.
Super vulnerable.
I'm getting full-blown sick. And the reverse, if I feel like I'm fighting something off, get a really good night's sleep, oftentimes I can beat whatever.
Well, like you mentioned about finding that you were sharper on the podcast and, really taking that seriously. It like if I don't get enough sleep, I could totally tell right away. I just have that mental cloud and I can't really access, like I don't have as good a memory. I'm just not cognitively sharp. There's just a lot happening there mentally and it carries. And even though I'm taking supplements and caffeine to try and help to get me, back in that state, it's different. It's just not, it's not that clean, that naturally driven, cognitive boost.
Okay. So we've made the case that sleep is extremely important.
Yeah. In fact, I'll add one more thing to that, Adam. This is something that I think is important to. A while ago, I studied sleep from an evolutionary standpoint because I thought it was weird that we slept. If you think about it, we're super vulnerable.
It is weird.
You're unconscious for hours.
You get eaten
easily, moment. Right? You can't. Someone's going to kill you. You're not being productive. You're not looking for food. You're not building shelter. You're not inventing anything. You're not mating. It's so it's this super vulnerable, non-productive state of being. If evolution would have figured out a way for us to not have it, but the fact that it still exists means it's extremely important. So that's the last point that I wanted to make.
Yeah. So and again, we've made a very strong case on the importance that we've all agreed, shared stories on what a game changer it's been for clients of ours, for ourselves, when we finally pieced it together Now the next step, and what I think we should do is list off some strategies at getting good sleep, because it didn't just stop there for me. Once I started to piece it together, it wasn't like I went, oh, aha, light bulb went off, I get good sleep, I build more muscle, and then just going forward, I get great sleep. There was a lot of learning, I had to learn along the way through trial and error to like really put together a really strong strategy to have good sleep consistently. Otherwise, it would be like, oh, when the stars align and I could just get to bed early and it just everything worked out.
Just an hour earlier. That's all I got to focus on.
Right. It just, life ends up happening. And so there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of strategies, there's a lot of things that I've changed in my routine every day to assist making sure that I prioritize that.
Yeah, there are things. First off, you got to treat it seriously, right? So what I mean by that is just like your workout. If you're serious about your workout, then you know what you're going to do when you're going to do the workout. Maybe you take a pre-workout supplement, or you do your mobility work. You have the right music. You're wearing your workout clothes. You don't just go from doing whatever you're doing to jumping into a workout and expect a good workout. Same thing with sleep. Especially in today's day and age, it's something that you have to prioritize in order to have it be consistently good. One of the first things you could do, and the stuff we're going to go over is all proven. It's all proven stuff. It's all stuff that studies have really, really shown to have a pretty positive impact.
And some of them are going to be more impactful for different people.
Right.
There's certain things that, like in the list that we put together, when I was looking at it, I'm like, yeah, God, man, that one was like a
game changer
for me. So like,
and it seems common sense, but it's definitely something that I didn't even consider, because for the most part, like the way I would go to sleep is turn the light off and then lay down.
And now you're supposed to
that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So number one, get sunlight during the day. Now, someone might say, what does that have to do with going to sleep? Well, you have a circadian rhythm, and part of that rhythm is also letting your body know that the sun is out, that I'm awake. In fact, we've all experienced this. You have a day outside. You didn't have to do much. You're just out in the sun. You sleep like a baby that night. We've all experienced this before. We've also all been cooped up indoors all day long, even if you're busy and moving and all that stuff, and then you find that it's tough to go to sleep. Sunlight provides a really, really good base for your circadian rhythm, more so than electric lights ever will. So getting sunlight during the day, even if it's just an hour walk or sitting by a window at work. Some people are like, well, I work all day in an office. At lunch, go outside or stand next to the window. Getting sunlight during the day has been shown to have a pretty significant impact on your ability to sleep. This one I didn't really apply until much later because just our jobs would come to work, we're in the studio, then I'd go home and I'm inside or whatever. And once I started reading more about this, I said, okay, I'm going to really try to just at least get an hour of sunlight. It makes a huge difference.
Oh, you talked about some of the things that you didn't really start doing until Mind Pump. This is one for me. I had already started prioritizing different things and trying tools and working on getting better sleep before this and before even Mind Pump a little bit. But the sun thing, it didn't really dawn on me. And you've probably heard me talk about it in the last year on the podcast a couple times, where I just started to notice that we would work all day, be busy as shit. We'd be in our studio, and then I'd come home and I would have my little sleep routine, and I was still struggling with getting sleep. And I was like, where is the disconnect here? Where am I missing? And I thought about it. I'm like, God, you know what? This whole week has gone by, and all I've got is fluorescent lights. I'm in a cube with no windows and these super bright, production lights that we have going on us, and staring at my phone and computer, and I haven't got any real natural sunlight. And I remember going out, and it was one of the times where I was at the studio earlier before we all get together and work, and I started going for a walk and listening to one of my audiobooks about an hour before we would meet in the studio. And just an hour walk, sun's hitting on me, and I'm outside listening to my audiobook, and then we would work, made this huge difference in how I slept later on that night. And that was kind of when that light bulb went off for me on how impactful that can be for me. And I don't know if how much research there is around this. Sal, maybe you know. I think they encourage you to do that first thing too, right?
Yep.
Isn't it ideal
in the morning
to get when the sun rises, comes up, is to get out in the sun in the first hour or so and try and get light then, so to set the circadian rhythm.
Yes, that's what they say. That's the best. But if you can't, getting some sunlight when the sun is up
is better than none.
Yes, and it does make a big difference. It makes a big difference in children too. I notice a difference in my kids when they don't, even if they're up and active, if they're not getting sunlight during the day, at night they want to stay up later, which is strange. If they have sunlight, I can tell. 9 p.m. come around and they want to go to
drowsy.
bed.
Yeah,
totally. Now the second thing you can do is to turn off or dramatically reduce your light exposure about 2 hours before you go to bed. Okay, so your eyes obviously perceive light, so does your skin, but mainly through your eyes, and that tells your brain that the sun is still up. And indoor lights tell your brain that the sun is not just out, but it's up and it's like bright day. Okay, and here's why you need to do this 2 hours before bed, because your brain takes about a couple hours before you go to sleep to be ready to get into those great stages of sleep. You can't expect going from bright electronic lights to turning them off, hitting the pillow, and going right into excellent sleep. It doesn't work this way. The human body evolved with the sun rising and setting, and so what the brain saw was that it got bright, and then it started gradually getting darker, and then it was dusk, and then it was dark, and then you went to sleep, and your brain was prepared. It's like a shock to the brain when you go from light to dark.
Yeah.
Your brain's like
ripping off a Band-Aid.
It's like, I guess it's dark. Let's maybe get ready. But you're already in the. And so now you're trying to get 8 hours of sleep, but you only get 7 hours or 6 hours of good sleep.
And if you're listening and you're going, oh, well, I crash every time, regardless.
That's a sign you're not getting good sleep.
Exactly. So that does not necessarily mean you're getting quality sleep. Just because you can turn off the electronics and go straight to bed and then crash right away, that doesn't mean that you're getting quality sleep. So it's not just for the people who lay in bed and toss, because I would literally toss and turn. So this was actually something that happened during Mind Pump. Also, I resisted this for a long time because I like to watch TV late at night. Sun's already gone down, and I like having a big, cool, high def 4K TV, and so it's putting off this really bright light. And then now with the job that we have, much of the business is ran on my cell phone, so that's probably even worse to be staring at this little tiny screen even closer to my face before bed. So I resisted this one for a while, and I just I attributed the tossing and turning for 30 minutes before I went to sleep as just that's like natural for me. And it was the blue blocker glasses, and I swore I would never mess with those things. And I'm wearing one. I'm wearing them right now because sun's going down. We're podcasting late right now, and we've got these super bright lights. And I've just trained myself to do that. Like when the sun goes down, if I know that we're going to be under lights or watching TV or on the computer screens, I just have now made that a habit because it is a huge difference for me. It allows me to still get away with those things. In a perfect world, and this is like we talk about supplements and tools to help you do things with this. In a perfect world, you don't need blue blocker glasses. In a perfect world, you shut your TV off, you turn your computer off, you turn your phone off, you turn all your bright fluorescent lights off in your house, and you go buy candle or firelight or orange light for the
Himalayan salt candles.
Right, for the remainder of from 7 p.m. till 9 or 10 when you go to bed. That's the ideal world. Now the reality is I live in today's world where I like to work late at night sometimes. I like to Netflix and chill. We work like this sometimes at night. And so this is where I find tools like this could be a game changer for you if you had similar patterns like me.
They do. And studies show that using blue light blocking glasses a couple hours before bed increases melatonin production. It improves those deep REM stages of sleep. Ideally, Adam's 100% right. You want to turn the lights off, go by candlelight, or Justin mentioned Himalayan salt lamps. That low amber glow doesn't have that much of an impact.
Oh yeah, that was a big game changer for us and our family, mainly because we were always operating under the bright fluorescent lights, all throughout the house, everywhere we'd go, and sometimes we dim them down, but really there was something about the amber sort of glow with these lamps that we started placing them around the house, and it sort of brought a lot of the intensity down, and everybody just sort of just started to chill and calm. It has a very calming effect to it, and it was crazy.
Yeah, you're feeling your body literally wind down. And here's the other thing: overhead lights have a stronger impact on you than lights that are at eye level or below. So Himalayan salt lamps placed low have a minimal effect.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, it makes sense evolutionary, right? We're going to have a fire down in front of us.
bottom.
It's not the sun beating up above us. So
Yeah.
we just evolved this way. And so, have these kind of dark lights around you at, we have Himalayan salt, what are they called?
Night lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have them throughout
Yeah,
the
that's
house.
for the kids. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we just turn the lights off, and then that's what we'll use. And it chills everybody out. But blue light blocking glasses, if you got to work, if you're going to watch TV, put them on and at least a couple hours before bed. Now, there are other ways that your body perceives the sun to be up. One is light. We just talked about that. Another one, believe it or not, is the presence of food in your gut. Your gut, your stomach, your organs also have a circadian rhythm. And when you eat right before you go to bed, that's telling your body you need to be awake. Yeah. Now, a lot of people know this. I think instinctively they know this. They'll eat a big meal and then they'll struggle, to go to sleep. They'll have this like terrible sleep or whatever. It's a good idea to not eat at least a couple hours before sleep. Studies show this has a huge impact. Studies show that not eating a few hours before bed helps with hormones balancing. It helps with stress reduction, inflammation. Indirectly can help with muscle building and fat loss, even if all calories are controlled, all because it improves your health. And then it definitely improves your sleep.
So, well, it improves digestion, too. I mean, just think of...
you're lying down.
Yeah, gravity. I mean, if you eat a big meal for dinner and then lie down on your couch and watch TV, I mean, the amount of time that food's going to take to digest in comparison to if you have it at 6 o'clock and you're still up around the house and maybe doing dishes and kind of cleaning around and you're doing things, that's only going to speed up that process. It's not going to sit in your... And here's the thing, too. What I notice with myself, right? And I always think, like, if I'm a trainer, I'm aware of this, and I do this, I know that there's lots of other people that are this. It's when I offend multiple of these that it really...
Oh, yeah, they add up.
Yeah. Like, I'll be the first to admit that there's been plenty of times where I've had a big late night meal. We didn't eat. We were on a drive from somewhere, and 4 or 5 hours went by, and I'm ravishing. I just want to eat so bad, but it's 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I DoorDash something to the house, and then I sit up and watch TV with Katrina while we eat our food, and then we go lay down in bed. Yeah. Good
It's
luck.
going to affect you.
It's like a 1 in a million chance that night's good night's rest.
Yeah.
But that's what we tend to do, though, is like it's multiple things. Maybe one of these things, like I've had people be like, "Oh, I've tried the blue blockers. I don't quite notice this huge difference." It's like, no, you got to. It's really a compounding effect when you allow multiple of these things to be offenders for you to really notice a drastic difference.
It's just like, look, it's just like exercise. Like, my legs aren't building. I'm squatting, but the workout programming's terrible, and they don't have a good diet, right? It's just like that. You do have to do a lot of these things to have a really, really big
Well,
impact.
speaking back to the digestive part, this is something that was a lesson I had to learn multiple times, that to not eat that late was one thing for sure, because then it just kind of, as I'm digesting it, sits up in my throat, and then this turns into, some crazy acid reflux as a result, and then, going back through and like really seeing what types of food create, more of a volatile type of reaction, I started to narrow that down and find, offenders, like some of the, like gluten for me, and is definitely one of those. If I am going to have it, because I don't want to not live life. I don't want to be that one where I'm, I can't eat that. I can't ever eat any kind of gluten. If I'm going to do it, it's going to be earlier in the day.
Right.
And I'm going to have a much better chance that it's not going to totally screw up my sleep. But that's definitely something now as an adult, like I've just figured out, and it's like I have to do that.
What a great point you bring up, Justin, because there, again, like many things, there's going to be an individual variance, and different things will be game changers for some and not so much for others. It could be that too. Like maybe you're pretty good about eating an hour or two before you go to bed, but then the food choices that you make before you go to bed could make the world of a difference too.
Well, think about the foods you tend to eat right before bed.
Right.
They tend to never be the best choices.
Right.
They're usually not planned.
Right, and just simply making better choices as the last meal that you eat before you go to bed, or not overstuffing yourself. So yeah, these are all things that you have to kind of play with as an individual and just become aware of it. We always talk about that with clients is, we try and we tease certain things out, and then we're looking for feedback on how did you feel? Did you notice this? Did you sleep better?
Yeah, no, you mentioned gravity. It's true. Astronauts oftentimes encounter digestive issues because
I bet.
of lack of gravity.
Nothing's moving it.
Yeah,
out there.
so one of the best things you do is eat and walk or move to encourage digestion. Eating and then going right to laying down, not a good idea. Not to mention the circadian rhythm is totally going to be off. Another thing you can do is ensure that you sleep in a cool room. This one actually has a pretty profound impact when they do studies on this. They tend to, they've measured this, and around 65 to 67 degrees tends to be where people sleep the most. There's a huge individual variance here. I know that.
Yeah.
But sleeping in a cool room.
We like it below 20.
Yeah, can make a pretty big difference. So how are ways you could do that? You open the window, use a fan, air conditioning, sleep naked. They did this one study, and they found that people who slept naked had significantly better sleep than people who wore pajamas. And really, it wasn't that they were naked; it was that their core temperature was
Are you
lower.
guys all naked guys?
I'm an underwear.
I'm like,
sleeper.
an
I'm a
underwear
naked.
guy.
Doug, what are you?
Underwear.
Underwear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Underwear?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, I'm
Yeah.
the only naked guy.
You go
You're the
full
only naked
naked.
guy.
I'm full naked. I was walking around naked last night in our house.
Well, there's an emergency.
Well, yes.
right.
Wait a minute.
he's
Hold on a second.
he's the guy running out in his
I don't give a
neighborhood like,
fuck.
Hold on a second. You're walking around in the main areas?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's how you ruin other people's sleep, Adam. You're trying-
I better not go down for a late night snack.
Yeah, that's what I would be doing.
Yikes.
No,
This was actually what. So it's funny. You listed these all off, and the first three that we've covered were things that really came together for me when we got together and we started doing Mind Pump. The back three are ones that I had already pieced together. Like I am neurotic about like the temperature in my house.
Yeah,
Like,
you are.
I have.
Yeah.
I am. I mean, you guys.
I get in fights over it all the time with my wife.
And this is how crazy I am dialed in on this. Okay. No joke. So like right now, part of our routine, a lot of times Katrina will stay downstairs and she'll stay up and working, and I'll go to bed because I have to be up earlier, and I'll go up to bed, and I let her keep the temperature warmer in the house so she's not miserable freezing all day long. But then when it goes to bedtime, that's kind of like the deal. Like, hey, that's all I care about. It is like I can handle 69, 70 in the house throughout the day. That's fine. That's totally bearable. It's when I go to sleep, I've got to have it down below 67. And I'll do this, right? And I always know because she'll be sitting on the couch and there's a vent right there and it gets her cold, and I'm always bundle up. You can bundle up, right? But she'll do this. She'll go over and she'll creep it up 1 degree. And all of a sudden, you'll like 30 minutes later, I'll jump out of bed and I can feel my body temperature 1 degree higher than what my body wants, and it will ruin my night's sleep. And so I'm so.
isn't that a dad thing?
Hey,
though?
Dude,
This
I
is what-
totally, I totally relate.
No, this is a big deal for me. This is why, too, man, when we first partnered with Chili, I was so ecstatic about that product because I was like, what?
You could keep me cool,
Right.
like
And
the whole
the fact
time.
that I could, and it literally maybe save our relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like this, she could have it at like 70 as long as I could cool my bed down to 50 something underneath those sheets on my side. You know what I'm saying? We're good to go.
Yeah. The next one is this one. A lot of people don't fully understand, so I'll break it down. But it's to have a room that is pitch black. So pitch black means no little red light on the TV, no phone
Those
light.
Dyson fans with the bright little lights, the LEDs on there.
Yes,
had to kill that.
Studies actually show that pitch black makes a difference over even a tiny bit of light in your room. So you want to, and here's what I do with my room, and my in our windows, we black them out, like those drapes or whatever.
We have the blackout shades.
Yeah, they block everything out. Close the door, and it's pitch black. And then I have a TV in my room, and no matter what, if it's on or off or whatever, there's a little tiny red light. I put tape over that. because
See-
you want it totally black.
I need to do that because I'm the guy that'll wear the princess mask, or like just a pillow over my face.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because
Princess Mask.
Yeah, you
I was
know the
thinking
ones
of
What
that
kind of role
like.
play are you
I was
guys
thinking
into?
Princess Leia.
What kind of role play you guys into?
You're talking
Hey,
about the,
you
you're talking about the one
we
that
have
go over your
fun.
eyes?
Yeah, the night mask.
Yeah, the night mask.
Yeah.
Because any little bit of light, it totally interrupts any kind of like dream, any sleep, anything I'm doing. Like I'm up at that point. I can't have like any light in there. I'm like obsessive about it. It's
So
crazy.
we're the same way too. Although it is a pain in the ass, when she leaves the laundry basket on the floor, and you're trying to.
You gotta be
You're
careful.
trying to memorize your way back to the toilet in the middle of the night because I get up 2-3 times in the night.
Have you tripped over it?
Oh, of course I have. Of course I've.
You got to
tripped
learn
over-
how to see in the dark. Yeah, that's what I've done.
No, I've memorized my room, so I don't need to see anything to know where to get it. But it's the random thing that's on the floor that you weren't ready for.
Well, so along those lines, if you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, try not to turn on the bright bathroom light when you're going to the bathroom.
that's why, man. I was trying to get that as a partner. I got
like
that
a
last
glowing
time.
ring
Yeah,
or whatever.
I got the glowing toilet bowl.
Or just those Himalaya, like you said, those the night lights.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'll put the
I
night.
just flip that switch when I'm in there.
Exactly. That's what I do. So it's minimal, and so I can see what I'm doing. Or you can be like Adam and sit down when you pee.
Yeah.
As he says that he does that.
I mean,
And-
yeah. I mean,
I
certain men do
admit
that.
Hey,
I guess.
I'm not making this up. That's
I
what
do.
he
I
said.
do
There are
admit
guys that do that, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of wives out there that would appreciate that. Toilet seat's always clean
Yeah,
with me.
that's right. Or you just pee in the shower like Justin. You'll never get the taste.
I pee in the sink, dude.
Sorry.
I don't know what you're talking
Now,
about.
the last thing, this one I learned relatively recently, although it's obvious when you hear what I'm about to say, and that's to go to bed and wake up the same time every single day. So here's what a lot of people do. Even people who take sleep seriously. Monday through Thursday, they go to bed at a particular time, they wake up early, and they go to work. Friday night comes around, and they're going to go to bed late because, hey, I can sleep in tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Saturday night, hey, I can go to bed late because I can sleep in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then Sunday, I got to go to bed earlier. Here's what happens. Your body starts to acclimate to the new sleep schedule, which throws you off about a day or two, depending on how bad it is, right? If you go, like if you're flying from Europe, then it, jet lag or whatever takes a while. So if it's a few hours where you go to bed, instead of going to bed at 10, you go to bed at midnight or 1, and then try to sleep in, you're not really making up for it. And then what happens, your body tries to adjust to that, especially if you do 2 nights in a row, and then it tries to adjust to the other way to do it, and you actually lose quality sleep by doing this. This is a hard one to do, though.
No, it is hard to do because stuff happens, of course, inevitably with stuff that we, you just brought up a great one, traveling, right? Traveling across the United States or across country or across the world, and you lose time or days even. But that reminds me of something that I started doing not that long ago because one of the times we hung out with Ben Greenfield, and he told me, and have you read this study, Sal, that referred to infrared saunas after like traveling like that, and
It helps you like recalibrate.
Yeah,
your,
supposedly it
circadian
helps
rhythms.
reset the circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
by doing that. And also, you know what he does too? He eats
I've
his
tried that once.
He eats his last meal when the sun when the sun is still up in the place he's going to go, and then he doesn't eat until the sun comes up in the place he's going to go.
I haven't tried that,
Mm-hmm.
but I have tried the infrared sauna on after these like horrible traveling times or just horrific nights of sleep, and it does seem to feel that way. Now, this is just my experience with it, and I don't even remember. I remember when he first shared the study with me, but I couldn't recall it right now. I'm not like Sal, where I can recall studies after I see him one time. But I do know that it made a huge difference for me, and it's now become a habit. Like if I have one of these really bad nights of sleep, or if we're traveling and we're going back across the country where we're going to lose 4 or 5 hours or whatever, I'll do that, and it does seem to feel like it resets me.
Yeah,
I
I
do
think
feel
it-
re-energized after I come out
I
of
think
it.
it reduces the amount of time it takes for the body to acclimate to a new time schedule. Look, if you're a trainer, here's the thing with trainers. They coach nutrition and fitness pretty well. A lot of trainers ignore coaching the sleep part. Or what they'll do is they'll say,
I did for a long time.
me too.
or rest and recovery in general.
Yeah, I focused on sleep after I stopped training clients when we started the podcast. So my entire training career, I would say things like make sure you get good sleep, but I wouldn't coach it.
Yeah.
If you're a trainer, coach sleep like you do other things, and if your clients can follow along, they will get much better results, fat loss and muscle building. Of course, if you're not a trainer, do what we're saying. You will see a return. It's not just a small return. You'll see a big return, almost as big as eating right and exercising, and even some people will even argue as big or even bigger. Look, Mind Pump is recorded on video as well as audio. Come check us out on YouTube, Mind Pump Podcast. You can also find us on Instagram. Justin can be found at Mind Pump Justin. You can find me at Mind Pump Sal and Adam at Mind Pump Adam. At the end of the day, there's something that trumps that by far, which is your own individual self, okay? What you don't want to do is fall into a pattern of, I train this way because I look like this or because my body shape is this way, and then you ignore your own body's individual signals. When I train